Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked. Devin and I are doing a discussion for Chapter 4, of Middara,
Woo!
Unintentional Malum, Act 1. If you're unaware, we have done a discussion over Chapters 1, 2, 3, and now we're here on 4. We just, at this point, have finished Chapter 4, and I gotta say, I hated it. I hated everything of Chapter 4 except the story.
Yeah, the story is great. I think it finally had the elevation that it really needed.
Yeah.
Which, for a 3-act game, it did need a slow burn.
Right.
But,
the full boxes. Yeah.
But, yes, I'm glad it's finally kind of kicking up. We're getting a little more on the stakes of everything now.
It's adding in this chapter, I guess, spoilers, but I don't know why you would watch this unless you're just... I don't know why you would watch this if you don't know anything about the game, but... yeah, like, I'm not upset at the pacing of this game at all, in terms of narrative beats. Like, it's definitely, like, young... I mean, they're immortal, but young... It's a D&D story. Everyone's young, inexperienced. It feels that way, and then you're thrust into a bunch of horrible situations. But yeah, you're right. It was kind of like feeling like you were going this one direction. It's like, okay,
this Malma has infected us, and we just keep searching, trying to find information on it.
Get a little bit of info from the third chapter.
Right, and then, and now finally we've kind of like, okay, we're kind of seeing past that a little bit more.
Yes. A
lot of... That's still the goal, but we're seeing the things behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. You don't get any of that extra stuff until the back half of Chapter 4.
Right.
Because the beginning of Chapter 4, was that grind.
Yeah, that dungeon was pretty mean.
Fighting through the library.
The gatekeepers, the Lichworm. 2 rounds of Lichworm.
Oh my god.
With either the healthiest boss we've encountered.
Yep. Yeah, this chapter, I mean, I'm trying to think, every other chapter, it's not like boss fights are all over the place, so it almost feels like that because they didn't constantly do boss fights, they wanted to make them memorable. Unfortunately, they did it in the worst way possible of just making them bullet sponges without being creative throughout the entire fight. It's kind of like, okay, every boss fight, I mean, in this one, it was the Lichworm and Elena. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? Yep. Elena. And then Echo and the Soul Stitcher. And both of those thematically are super cool, but whenever you kind of think about it, like Elena and the Lichworm were like kind of inconsequential to the overarching story, whereas Echo and the Soul Stitcher are not. Mm-hmm. So it's like thematically, Echo was the coolest fight, but they were both just kind of like, well, we can't really think of any creative ways to make them do stuff, so we'll just run the same loop over and over and over until you just eventually...
And it could be just one of those things, like, because in the grand scope of things, it seems small potatoes, but maybe it'll wrap around, and the outcome of it will be something that can be brought back. Like, did Bree survive? Did Elena, win? That kind of thing, or get away?
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's like whenever you make... Like I said, my favorite thing about this game is the story. Its narrative is gripping the entire way, and the combat and the stuff in this is exciting. They just always go way long. That like you're into the theme for a while, and then it's like, okay, well the theme's gone. This should have ended an hour ago. Mm-hmm. I'm no longer enjoying it as much because I can only miss so much, or I can only do so much damage, or it can only fully heal. And the boss fight with Elena, it's like the first time we had to determine which one you should damage. It's like, okay, we'll go after this one. And then the next fight against them, it's like, oh yeah, thematically it said that she's gotten immortality from the Lichworm. So if we kill the Lichworm, that'll be huge. Mm-hmm. And it was like, no, you get nothing. In fact, you actually all get hurt.
Yeah, it's like a debuff. I mean, we got a rare item, but for, let's see here, it was for an additional 800 damage in the game.
Yeah.
Either the reward should have been more substantial, or I felt like the worm should have had more impact on the rest of her. I mean,
right.
I would have been satisfied like if she was just brought down to half health.
Well, that's what
she lost some. Yeah, we did end up doing
house
that.
ruled that.
Yeah, that would have been a whole other 150 that we would have had to fall through.
It was like after solely focusing on the worm because everything had told us like what we were talking about with Echo and the Soul Stitcher. You know, the first time we killed Echo and it's like Soul Stitcher brings her back up. It's like, no, you got to kill that first. Okay, that's a painful lesson. I'm not doing that, but sure. You want to play it, true blue, straight, that's the consequence. Now you kill the Soul Stitcher. Mm-hmm. That's what the Lichworm should have been. Is like, okay, you've been telling us that she got her power from this thing. If that thing's dead, she should be affected. So the boss fights, I am never looking forward to. The story I'm always looking forward to. But the very beginning of this was just kind of, you're in the swamp for a while, and it almost felt like padding. Like, hey, we're trying to make our game longer.
Well, they definitely stretched their legs more with the expanded party. They made you use up to this point we could have stuck with the core 4, but this made us use new characters if we hadn't by now.
With the you're talking about with the dual encounters.
Yeah, it's like because they tapped out Remy and possibly Rook and Nightingale. Yes. And then so now, okay, you definitely have Justice, you definitely have Damocles. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely forcing you to bring them in. And if Padrick was in your party, and I learned this on my situation, that it would have cycled him in forcibly as well.
Gotcha.
To tap Rook out completely, and
it
would have been. Those three had to tap in.
Gotcha, yeah. And then it splits them up again, where Nightingale is with pure NPCs on her own thing. And I thought the dual encounters was a very neat idea for that very same reason. It's like, because, like you said, you build your party of 4, like you would in any JRPG, to synchronize well together. And it's like, okay, at the time, Nightingale is our consistent damage dealer, because this was before we respec. This chapter made us respec.
Yeah, like partway through we reached. I think was it just before the boss fight?
I think so. It was after the library stuff.
Okay, yeah, I know we did big. Like she got full respect.
I actually know exactly when we did it. It was because it was in the oh god, feet. It was in not that one. We did all that. Did the library stuff because we were trying to look for Justice's people, and that's when everything kicked off. Whenever we found them. Where is it? Nope, not that. That was awful. Interesting. It's hot. That's brutal. It was right here. Yeah, because we respec. Because then we went and did the Lakshmi, the gatekeeper. That's when then we took the party to test everyone else.
Yeah.
Like the new respect crew. So I mean, it's like 247 to 302, so like 50 pages of stuff. Obviously, you don't go through every single page before we finally respect that the game kind of forced us to. That's a good or bad thing. Respecking super easy. Sometimes you try a build, doesn't work, and you're like, well, let's try and make it work. But yeah, so whenever you're completely relying on one certain character at that, and then it's like, yoink! She's now off on her own, and you're like, oh!
Right. And your gear situation is kind of scattered. It's like, okay, maybe I wasn't building for this character, and now I kind of have to cobble some nonsense together for him.
Yeah. Which is cool, because then it's like you now have to play differently, otherwise this game would be way too long of just going through the motions. If it's like, well, it always works with this, I'm kind of bored of running the same encounters, because we do the same thing.
Because, yeah, there's not too much. I'm glad that they force us to switch with the party from time to time, because it's definitely, I can see us getting into that, okay, I'm used to these characters. It's working just fine.
Yeah.
Why would I switch them out? Even if this other character is very effective, but, I mean, I'm used to this.
Yeah, why fix what ain't broke?
Exactly.
So they did a good job with that. My counter to that, though, and this is just what I'm finding to be a running theme of Act 1, I'm really hoping, because we've seen some stuff from Acts 2 and 3 of, like, snippets of bosses, and the bosses are not these. They're like, and it's like, oh, so that must mean they put in more effort. I'm excited. I'm hoping they learn from this, because it can't just be me throwing a fit. But the stuff we're talking about are all positives. Dual encounters, making you change and, strategize different, utilize different party members that you didn't think how they were going to interact with others. But then it went on too long. And that's kind of the running theme of Middara Act 1 is great idea, now it's kind of running on too long, Boss fight, okay, this is cool, went on too long. The dual encounters, it's like, went on too long. So that I'm hoping that in Acts 2 and 3, it's not, don't cut them down, don't just make them like quick and stuff like that, but it's like trim it a little bit, so that the entire theme and encounters are fun, and it doesn't feel like that it's like, well, we only get to play once a month, and I would have liked to play 2 encounters. Unfortunately, with this one encounter took 6 hours.
Yeah.
So thanks for driving up, and that's that. That just can't be entered. I find it hard to believe that it's like if people are trying to get together to enjoy it, to play this game a lot, and they only do 1 encounter, or 2 encounters, hoping to play more, because it's like, well, unfortunately, it went on way too long.
Yeah.
So this game will never beat because it takes way too long. And that did kind of happen where it's like we did the wild combat, which was against Echo, first time against Echo. And I was like, surely we're done. Like, we're so close to being done with Chapter 4. And then, nope. Then it's
fight her again.
How about it? Yeah, fight her again.
Yeah.
They did that all in Chapter 4. It's like, hey, here's the Lichworm and Elena. Fight her again. Here's Echo. Fight her again. It's like, really?
Yeah, I can definitely see your point there. The with the Echo, because we already kind of saw the mechanic with the first battle, and it's like, okay, here's that again. New terrain.
That's true.
New environment, which it did complicate it a little bit, but
then it kind of actually
it's the same skit.
Yeah.
Last time, I guess it could have surprised you. Last game, but we didn't want it to. We killed her, and she was like, back at full health, pristine. She's returned.
Yeah. No, you're right. And in fact, the second fight completely fell apart because of the ruling of elevation. It's like, now this is just done. Okay, so we redid the fight. That was the exact same. And then it just completely unraveled, so it wasn't even good. At least the Lichworm fight was different the second time around. It's like it was still the same kind of beat, but you kind of... The first time you fight them, you never beat one. You just kind of do a bunch of damage, and then they bail. Because they're like, oh shit, we're losing! And it's like, okay, and then that comes into play the second time. At least that was different. The Echo Soul Stitcher fight was like, hey, how about we recycle it? That wouldn't work in any video.
I guess the complication is like the additional bosses, which could have been on your side also, depending on choices.
Yeah.
We assume. And the way they were designed, they seemed like they were going to focus them mostly anyway.
Oh, with Ezra and Bree.
Bree, yeah.
Not Bree.
So that was kind of like our light entrance to these two.
Yeah.
But they were also our complication, which made it a little more difficult. So that for the last 2 boss fights, it seems like they've given us a soft open, and then they kind of throw the boss.
Yeah.
But not, it's still the same. It's just there's less targets on the board.
Right.
Distracted.
Yeah, it's like, and that would be, again, it's like just the design of this needs to be toned down, because it's like, then it needs to be a snippet. Like, it's like, there needs to be rules if it's trying to just kind of tell us what they can do a little bit, give us a little taste of what Echo and the Soul Stitcher can do. You don't keep them at full health. You change the ruling and say Echo and the Soul Stitcher have half health. So it doesn't take the same amount of time. I mean, in their head, they're thinking, oh, Ezra and whatever her name is are extra people that are going to attack her, so that should shorten their health. But that's not consistent, because you rely on dice. So it's not like they auto do damage. It's like, no, they still have to hit just like the rest of us. So the first encounter takes way long, and then we see the whole beat, and then you just do it again. It's like, so... It's like, I definitely see what they were trying to do. It's just not executed well, in my opinion.
I mean, certainly not optimized.
Yeah. Because you're right. Yeah, I mean, that is a good way of putting it. The boss fights are kind of to be like, hey, here they are, but ooh, you have to fight it. Like, and video games do that where you kind of fight the boss, but then they just leave.
Mm-hmm.
Like Elden Ring's example that comes to mind. There's like one of the major dragons will like come down and you kind of do a bunch of damage to it, but then it bails and you fight it later. And it's like, oh, okay, now I'm actually fighting this thing. But that would be kind of like you fight the dragon the entire time, kill it, and then it leaves, and then you fight it again. It's like, oh, that's just recycled. It doesn't work in video games when you're like, man, I'm seeing the same enemies over and over and over. Like, can you get some different stuff? And it doesn't work here. But yeah, they add a lot of NPCs. I really like the concept of Zephyr and his group. I'm trying to remember what they're called.
Anointed.
Justice's entire thing. I like the fact that they can get reactions out of me from the way the characters act. It's like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
You know? Like, in his whole belief system, because he's a hypocrite, that just shows good writing. You know? Every character feels like a character. So, I'm obviously still excited.
Yeah, I mean, doing great on the story, a little grindy in the combat.
Yeah.
I don't even mind, like, the dungeon beats when it's bossless. I mean, I know it's a lot of recycled monsters, but it does good at making us feel powerful. I enjoy those.
Yeah. Well, it does a good balance of being like, okay, like, I know we're going to do pretty well, but still, it doesn't feel like... we haven't done, like, a regular encounter where I was like, you know, it's not even bothered, you know? Like, we're going to... Like, you're never going to one-shot everything. You might. But, yeah, when there's not a boss fight just running in, then it's like... it's like, yeah, okay, cool, let's go through this, and we get to feel good, get some money, go buy stuff. It becomes a thing whenever it's like, I think we got so used to the 3 beat, like 3 dungeon beat, whenever the library didn't do that, and it's like, can we fucking restore? Like, geez, like, I don't even want the XP, I just want to get them back to full health. So, nothing in this chapter has made me completely write it off. Like, I'm not like... I mean, we talked a little bit about this a few months back, but it's like... I think originally I've given this like a 9. Chapter 4 has maybe dropped it to an 8. It did lose a point, but it's like, that's still really good. If this game didn't have the story, the narrative element... I would have been like, fuck this game.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely like... I like the character design, but yeah, I mean, if you're gonna... They did it great.
Yeah.
I mean, because like dungeon crawls, like in theory, like that's my jam.
Yeah.
But you know, having played several, like I've touched on this in the previous videos, that it's dungeon crawls need a lot of help.
They do.
And this game has that help.
It does.
You know, it's because it's like you can't really do too much else short of, you know, flavor up your fighters. And they've done really good. Now they have backstories. They have hopes and dreams and purpose. And you get to customize them, their builds, their gear, everything.
Yeah, and there hasn't been like and this is going way way back, but it doesn't feel like what KDM did, where it's like build an archer, luck build archer, just build that's going to win you every game. There hasn't been a build that we've done where it's like, well, fuck, that's the way to win. You know, we've all have. I mean, every character, Justice, Zeke, Damocles, Nightingale, Remy, and Rook are all radically different builds.
I feel like it's balanced out the further we got in the game. I know early game,
that is true.
It was like magic was like, okay, why wouldn't you pick magic?
That's true.
And now I feel like it's starting to level out a little bit more.
You figure out the game a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's like, but what's nice is it allows you to tweak that. In Chapter 4, we didn't have to respec, but it's like, with Zeke, it's like, how can I make dual katars work? Like, why do they not work in any fucking game? And it's like, okay, let's kind of maybe redo some of his things, which we did, and then kind of adjust it to where some people have, like, we made Rook not the healer, but the more kind of buff person. Yeah. Oh, we're going to allow him to give someone flight and move him into flanking position, so because Zeke's about to go next. And then when Zeke goes, he's going to get that flanking and all that shit, backstab, armor-piercing stuff. And now he has haste, so then he's going to be able to do an onslaught attack at the very beginning. And I like that. Versus like, well, I guess this build just doesn't work. in Chapter 4 is what kind of opened that up. You learn the game more, the nuances, but it's like, for Damocles, I wanted him to be just the big fucking heavy sword guy, and we respect him a little bit. We actually kind of respect him the most in terms of like his disciplines. He went Vow build, but his core concept stayed the same. Like, it's not like, well, I guess the BFS isn't going to work. That's a shit weapon. But we also did do some errata stuff for the Zombados, which is great. Like, my major complaint is things just drag too long.
Yes.
Tidy that up in Acts 2 and 3, and you're golden. Because we've also, and this does tie into kind of overall Middara review, but also we were in Chapter 4. We've even talked about the story outside of the game. Like, who do you think's gonna die?
Yeah.
Like,
someone's totally
we don't do that in Oathsworn and Aeon Trespass, KDM, like Gloomhaven. None of those are narrative driven enough like this game is to be like, to care. It's like, man, I would be upset if one of these characters actually died. If it's like, hey, Rook sacrificed himself. He's not playable anymore. It's like, Rook, no! This entire chapter of Chapter 4, I was like, it was heavy on Damocles' kind of thing of like, the only reason I'm here with you fuckers is because you promised I'd get to redeem my mom, and doesn't sound like you're gonna let me do that. And it's like, I don't want Damocles to leave the party.
Yeah.
Which is great. Let's see. Oh, and I should also say, if you are watching this and you got to this point for some reason, go back. Like, if you're in Chapter 4, scrap it, and make sure you got an experience guide.
Yeah, get Patrick. Yeah,
just get Patrick. Get Patrick. They basically should say in the rule book, for easy mode, get experience guide. Because everything asked for it. Everything. Like, it was like, what did I do? What did we do wrong? If that doesn't come back, if it's like, if you don't have experience guide, boom!
Well, it came up a little with Shayla's return. I'm curious how that would have twisted if he was present. Like, why she would have been there if Patrick hadn't told her. If someone else had told her.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. But
would she have joined? Maybe she might not have.
Oh, yeah. She's like, oh, hey, you found him.
Oh, okay, Patrick's taking care of you.
Yeah.
Or she would have swapped out with him, maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Patrick, get the fuck out of here.
What the fuck? You don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'll take care of my sister. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And that's the great thing, is because you're going through your own campaign, like you're a little bit behind us.
Yeah, and I'm trying to make the opposite big decisions where we're at on our campaign.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a massive one before the boss fight in this one.
Yeah, there's a here. I don't know what we're going to do there.
Yeah.
Mostly, I just I lean it to Ethan to make the call.
Okay.
I might if he like asks like what the choice I made, I might tell him.
Yeah.
But if he's kind of going down our same route, I'm like, well, maybe we should do something else.
Well, I mean, there's two other options. You know, let's not be too hasty. Yeah, because the Zephyr one had three seemed like major options. Partner with him.
Yeah. It's like partner, kill, or ignore,
or just be like, you know, we're not going to kill you, but we don't want to work with you. It's like, man, what would have happened if we had Zephyr with us when we fought Echo?
Yeah, I feel like that would have been some big twist on that one, possibly.
So, Chapter 5, final chapter in this, we're heading to. We are in rare items now, obviously.
Oh yeah,
all rare items
which
are now.
just cost all of our money.
Yeah,
for
we
one
have
item.
We have 272 money. We got fucking nothing from that fight.
We got 50 from Shayla's joining.
Oh no, we actually did. Yeah, we got
to do
stuff.
all her
stuff. We have
stuff.
to do all her stuff. Very excited, and I mean, almost perfect timing because Acts 2 and 3 are shipping soon.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's 2 acts of this size box.
I don't think it's gonna be.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
You think they're lumping them together, or you think because the box art and everything looks like this, like the way they've been displaying it. I'd have to find.
I think 2 might be. I just don't think they're going to add as much. I think that they're going to kind of stretch out the new because we're already in rare. What are they going to do? Like epic?
That's true.
Legendary.
They could do it in a way where it's kind of like video games do, where it's like, oh, I got the best armor in the game. Oh, new game. You lost it.
Reset everything.
I could see that. I could see them doing that. Because they could do a time skip. Based off, because what are your, what do you think's happening in Chapter 5? I mean, we get, because...
Oh, Chapter 5?
Yeah.
I think we're definitely going after this boy.
If we're assuming that
I'm assuming he's the Shadow Lord.
I
think that's the Shadow Lord.
Okay.
Because it sounds like, okay...
Carol has to be the big bad, right?
I think he's going to be the big bad of the whole campaign.
Yeah.
But
it's
I think
narrative driven and branching paths, so it could not be him. But they could they could Mass Effect 3 it, where it's like branching paths, but then no matter what decision you make,
I'm gonna have a good time regardless. But
Yeah.
I think it's gonna take the Mass Effect route.
It might.
I really think it is.
And
and that's fine.
Yeah.
Because I just. The thickness of this book, and to make really significant changes would you'd have to just exponentially increase the size of the book. And that's just, I really like what they've done.
Yeah.
But I understand that there's, realistically, there's only so many big branches you can have.
Yeah.
Given the physical media.
Yeah. I think we're probably gonna run into Echo again in Chapter 5. Maybe not, though. She could come in Acts 2, Acts 2 or 3.
Same fight. Same fight.
I swear to God, if I read it, the first time Echo would, nope, we win. I'm not doing it again. She has 300 health, and so does the Soul Stitcher with what is it, Abhorrent or Arcane? It's like, nope, not happening, not doing that. So, I have no idea. I mean, clearly the ending of Chapter 4 was like, we gotta save Justice. Because Zeke's got a hard-on for her. Which is fine. She's adorable. Nightingale, out of all the characters now, at this point, who's your favorite?
My favorite?
Yeah. Character-wise, that we got.
I mean, Damocles is shaping up quite a bit.
Yeah, Damocles is dope. He's like the adult of the group. He's like, I've seen...
See, it's like a lot of our guys haven't gotten a lot of... It's mostly been Zeke, Justice, Nightingale, and, Damocles too, I guess, but getting most of the attention. I don't feel like Rook and Remy... Rook had a bit of a star spot in the dungeon when he was taking care of Remy.
Yeah, got to see, actually, his companion. Can't remember her name. Siri? No? Suri.
Yeah.
That was cool. And didn't you say that changes? Like Suri?
Yeah, it's Patrick instead.
That's right.
Yeah, it's no Suri, and yeah.
I just think that's thematically cool. Hey, if you have Patrick, he's there protecting Rook, but otherwise his little girl comes out. Remy is definitely still the...
She has not talked a lot lately.
No.
She was completely sidelined in the dungeon, which, I mean, it's an injury. What can you do? But even after that, she's just not really... I'm thinking she's going to have her own arc here soon. I mean, she did a lot
with her very obviously evil... Malik is the Shadow Lord. 100% he's there.
Yeah.
He takes off the robe and then he just shrinks down to Malik's size. Remy, I said not to bother me when I'm at work. He's like actively skinning Justice. Oh my God. Delicious, Remy. You want some skin of your friend?
But yeah. It's who I'm liking. I'm kind of liking Damocles right now.
Yeah.
He's getting a little more flushed out.
Yeah.
I think for this chapter.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
Zeke's whole beat is, "Oh, Justice, I have an erection for you." And
yeah.
Justice is all like, I don't know. I mean, Justice certainly has been flushed out a little bit more.
Justice is kind of there because
she's torn between her previous allegiance with the Anointed, but they've essentially.
She's like, you guys are psychos. Like, these are my friends. Like, you guys are just killing just for the sake of killing and holding on to this belief system you've had.
Yeah. So I feel like we're definitely going to learn a little bit more about Justice in the future. I feel like she's got a lot to unpack still.
I mean, she's probably sidelined all the way through Chapter 5.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I'm like, Rook, I'm not sure. Because he's just definitely playing the part of the Loyal Knight.
Yeah. I mean, he's there. He's very protective. What's really funny, though, is the least interesting character in terms of story is the one between the two characters you've built, is the one you've built the best. which is Remy. And it's like, my favorite character is one I've built the worst, because Nightingale is my least favorite character, even though she's... I think she's a well-written character. I'm just like, God, would you just shut up?
Yes, you want to die.
Yes,
you get it. You keep throwing yourself.
Let the Malum out, please. But yeah, and her build's like really good. So that's just very interesting. On a scale of 1 to 10, what are you giving Chapter 4?
It's Chapter 4. I wish I could look back at my previous ratings.
I know, right?
Let's see here. I mean, let's see.
If I had to guess, I'm pretty sure on all the chapters we're at 7s, 8s. I'm pretty sure we're high up there.
Yeah, I'm definitely just on a scale within the game. I mean, we went some places. I really enjoyed the 3-way battle. I thought it was cool thematically.
With Echo and the yeah.
I really like that.
That
Yeah, and like you said, that probably should have been the cap off versus having to fight her again. I'll give it like an 8. I'm like 7, 8. It's good. I enjoyed it. It was a little grindy, but I'm more resistant to grind than you are.
That is true. Your favorite game is KDM as a board game, and as a video game, it's Monster Hunter. You're Mr. Grind.
I haven't played Monster Hunter in a while.
Well, it's because it's not a fun game unless you have friends to play with who are your equal level. Yeah. It's like narrative. I enjoyed it all, even though the library thing was
definitely top narratively. I should say. I guess I should.
The back half.
Yeah.
The back half. It's like, oh yeah, I'm really intrigued. But that library thing was, dude, that's filler episode shit. Nothing narrative happened there, except it's like, oh hey, we got some pixie people, these nymphs that are hanging around. Oh cool, bye. No, obviously, if that all comes back, then it's like, oh, that's neat. I remember, we saved you, because Act 2 and 3 still has us remember our flags, and it's like, who knows how that's all playing. But as of right now, we don't know any of that. So it's like, it felt like the first half of Chapter 4 was like, this had nothing to do with the back half of Chapter 4, which it didn't. Now that I think about it.
Finding the Anointed. And then it was handling the Anointed.
Yeah. So once you found the Anointed... And then you had to, like, escape with them, and then that whole thing, that was awesome. That's, like, 8s. But then the boss fights. So I'm actually, like, I'm like at a 6 or a 7. And I think I'm going to go with a 6 for Chapter 4. Still slightly above average, but taking the narrative stuff, which is only good for the last, 4 encounters you do, but then the boss fight taints it. I was ready. I was ready to be out of Chapter 4. It felt like it was the longest.
It definitely was the longest chapter, without a doubt.
It's like this again. Middara, Brooklyn.
Reel it in, guys.
Just tone it in. The 3 other develops, which I don't know what the difference between designed and developed by is. Like, quit being the yes men. Just be like, hey, Brooke, reel it in, man. My God, like we get it. Like. We'll play your game. We'll play it more if it was shorter. But still very excited for Chapter 5. That's it. You got anything else?
That's it.
Cool. That's our thoughts on Chapter 4. Let us know what you think of the game right now in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.
I love you.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.